It's Gen X Gone Mad at Life in Full Viz. It's July 29th. And unfortunately, Christmas in July feels like it's not going to happen, but I feel like it is happening because it's what's happening right now. And I do believe there's a tide changing. You can see the desperation in Trump to get everybody's eyes off Epstein. Um, I've said this before. That was the biggest gut punch to me. It was not the fact that all of his failed businesses and that he was a pompous, arrogant asshole and that he's just dumb. dumb. Clearly only driven by money. As soulless of an individual if I ever saw one, but to each their own. It really was the sexual scandals, and I didn't need to go and really digging into any of the stories to believe them, because for me as a survivor, I don't tend to try to read the details of someone else's story because it's really easy for me to imagine myself, and that's just not a comfortable place to be. So I tend to avoid reading these things in detail, but just before this most recent election is when he was held liable for raping of E. Jean Carroll, who was a young journalist who's sent to cover him, and he raped her in a store dressing room. It ruined her life. It's weird because the mind is a funny thing and what it'll do to protect yourself. And for me, my number one tool was the power of dissociation into my own imaginary world, I guess. Or my ability to solve problems or to learn from mistakes, or anyway. First time I ever knew of anyone who had been raped at all, was in a book. I know why the cage bird sings. I actually didn't read it until college. Found my way to it among many other books. Even though I was at a conservative university that was heavily oriented towards STEM, science and math. Always liked stories. That's what I was brought up on. Namely, the Gospels of Jesus in the beginning. So, this is why this all hits really home to me. I found another addition to my protest art piece here. Trying to figure out, it's a pen. I thought about putting it on the other side of my, hat, which you do need in the South. With all the sun, it's so hot right now. That one's been there, but that's a little too much. Anyway, so I'd like to try to figure out some way to, where would I put him? I mean, right now I think he just needs to sit here, the lowest level. Maybe that's where he sits permanently. I don't know. Obama's been in the news recently because they're like these people who are supposed to be educated in the Trump regime or in the cult of MAGA that go on these, these blowhards that go on these news shows to be talking heads, which is ridiculous. Like, they just don't even, like, and the bigger picture there is like there's the like what, like, I think about all the puppets. He's just being played in so many different angles, and he's not a smart man. But one is definitely the white nationalists, which I've really been enraged. Like, it's just funny. I was very naive, and I remember growing up in Texas for the most part, I guess. And, for a short time, for I was an athlete, and in retrospect, it wasn't incredibly diverse, but we had, a couple from Pan Asia and a couple of black people, a few. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, right? Just a few years later, I'd be plopped down, bizarrely, nowhere on my list of things to be when I grow up was teacher. I mean, I had a long list, and teacher was not on it anywhere. But I learned a lot, and I'm really grateful. And knowing what I know now, it's been a white supremacist agenda from the beginning. And the person in charge of ICE, I mean, those people it's barbaric. For me, those are the two big issues right now that are killing me. Epstein and just the way, like, even citizens are being treated and being targeted. One of my first best friends was Mexican. Her parents were first generation, hard worker, military, worked in medical, good people. I tasted menudo for the first time. Freaked me out. It was tongue. I became a vegetarian somewhere in there, and that could have played a part in it, among other things. Oh, I'm just kidding. I did love going over there. Very happy family, but she was the third culture kid because her parents didn't want her speaking Spanish, and being in Texas, there are so many people coming up from Mexico. Anyway, there's a lot that goes on emotionally. And now even, like, those people are being targeted, and they've been here. And not to mention, all of Texas was once Mexico. And we bullied our way with our ideas of manifest destiny. And that's where I think it gets wrong, because this holy trinity of thinking of MAGA, it's none of this is in line with the Gospels and how Jesus would be, because you gotta trust me on this. He was my childhood BFF, and I started reading earlier, and I read early and often, and put my allowance in the tithing plate, and was baptized and all that stuff. And I can tell you, a survivor knows how to recognize predators, and you're looking at a multi-time survivor. I know how to identify predators. So this has been on my. This isn't news to me. I have all of this momentum right now, I guess, because I feel the tide's turning. Like, have a soul, y'all. These are like little fucking girls. Little girls. Don't stop talking about Epstein. He is a major player in the swamp. Take them all down. Take them all down. But this is what is the scariest, because you have this operating in the realm of ice. If I were to put ice like in the Venn diagram, I think I would put ice here in between the white supremacy and fake Christianity. So there's some overlap there. I know of, we've heard of significant overlap in church abuse scandals. I have some documentation of incidents in my own family. So that's the overlap there. Church sex scandals. And then there is the pedophilia and white supremacy. Now, when I was on election day this year knocking doors, I did encounter someone I knew very well who was sorry, y'all. Couldn't do anything to help her. So, still kind of hurts. I mean, I was knocking doors hoping to get people to go vote against Trump, but do me a favor. Call every day of August. It doesn't take long. 5 calls app. Makes it easy. You can follow one of their scripts or just do what I did. Start to share your story in detail over a series of messages. Can't let them sweep this under the rug, y'all. Go make good trouble.